So let's continue where we left off in the first video. I talked about day one, started with it, overview, and the things that I said included, first of all, stock taking. I talked about the UX UI a bit, and I told you not to focus on it and consider it at last, right? I should qualify it by saying that if you aim to develop an application for mobile devices, mobile platforms, do take into consideration CSS because it will otherwise be very tedious to port to mobile platforms. That's it. There is also there's also the consideration that you might want to go for mobile app development instead or as the primary thing you're going to do. So I have to make some comments. There is something called Android Studio, and then there's I think I can't think of the name right now. That's the OSI model. What is it? JetBrains is not the one. I don't. Yes, I think JetBrains is the. So the idea is that IDEs for mobile app development. That's what you're looking at. Android Studio is one of them. IntelliJ idea. I think this is from JetBrains. Yes, you get the point. IntelliJ is the software you're looking at, and so on. So these are two integrated development environments. That's all there is to it. That belongs to the part about tools. Tools that you'll need to develop these programs to come up with a website. I discussed, apart from these things, I discussed HTML, CSS, and JS tech stack. By the way, you can use websites like BuiltWith to get info on the tech stack. Don't fall for paying people for this kind of thing. Paying people for these things. Use OS int. An example being anonymous Instagram profile viewing, profile story, and posts, etc. viewing. Okay, and with AI tools, I suppose the possibilities are even more numerous and varied. Numerous has a spelling, okay, and varied. So I'm not making you wait to come up with the right typing. So tech stack I talked about, and then I gave you some examples of things from these three, so these two languages. Actually, I talked about fetch request. Fetch request. I'm only taking up the highlights, the more important parts. So server client communication, since, let's call it stateful server client communication, since HTTP is stateless. So you want to have user actions leading to some update of information, to some change, and for this you need to use things such as fetch API. So previously it used to be XHR requests, and there were vulnerabilities, but vulnerabilities can come up in any system. Also, this kind of thing develops with time, so that is not unexpected. Then you have something called jQuery, you have JS, you have Ajax requests. Again, so many names, there's no point looking up everything. Just that when you come across options for stateful server client communication, you have, apart from fetch requests, so many other things you can consider. There are other ways for achieving the same thing, and what I am telling you about is vanilla JS, or just JS. Okay, vanilla JS or just JS. Ajax is basically async JavaScript request, I guess. Async JavaScript HR request. I think it's more or less the same thing. But these are some of the things that you will come across when you go for something like fetch requests. Now, in the other two videos, I have discussed HTML, I've discussed templating, I've discussed OSI layers, briefly touched upon them, not too much, but OSI layers, and I've talked about IP addresses, mentioned IP addresses, and so on. So these are the basics, and client server model is something we are assuming. Client server model is something we are assuming. So in the last video that I made, I said there is these 80 commands in phones, and you basically say hi and the other party says hi, then you start data transfer. That is how they explain it in general. The point is that it's say X bytes long packet sent to the node on the network, computer network. This has a format. So I'll show you instead of giving you a hypothetical example. IP protocol request format packet. Yes. Handshake, I should say. Here it is, packet length and response. This is what I was getting at. So this is the kind of thing that is sent and received, and this has information pertaining to different parts of the entire request and a response. So TID, PID, length, read, registers, doesn't matter what they mean. What matters is you can think of file types, PNG file, Wikipedia maybe, image file format. Let's see if it shows something. Here it is, type code, magic. I don't know what magic number is, but this is what I wanted to show you. So this is a hex editor, and in this hex editor you can see PNG file. These characters on the right hand side are the alphanumeric representation of these bytes. This is hex representation, hexadecimal representation in the setup. As you can see, there is signed and unsigned, and this is getting into the core of it, and I will avoid this for the moment. But the point I'm trying to make is that there is a way it is organized, and this is what you have to understand about packet transfer as well. So sender IP address, destination IP address, padding is this is from communication. If you read communication in electronics or in communication courses or whatever it is, you will come across these things invariably. Packet length and other various parameters, various types of information you can see there, right? Time to live, TTL. So if you want to get into this kind of thing, if you're interested at all, what you can do is simply look up here. I mean, wrap it up. So look up PNG file format, for example. Look up handshake packets, and their format. And if you're interested to look up Wireshark, TraceRT, and such, Netstat, and such other tools. Shodan is paid, okay, and it's not for playing around with. I must say that, okay. Besides, you might have to give information like what organization you belong to and why you're requesting that information, and if you even have the right to look up that kind of information that it provides, and so on and so forth. So lots of questions that you can get yourself into trouble. That is the caveat, okay. Caveat, not my responsibility for what you do with this knowledge. I should say disclaimer. Okay. Yeah. So coming back to what I was talking about, I have discussed templating. I have discussed quite a lot of things, but the point is that CSS is for decorating your HTML to format it better, for using animations and things like that, okay. So yes, it's a great asset, but you don't need it for the essentials. And if you would like me to show you some examples, there are plenty of them. So I guess I opened this website in video one, and you couldn't see it, so I'll show it to you now. This is your OSI model. This is the Wikipedia page, and there's lots of information on this available. You can look it up later. Okay. Yeah, it's not. Just a moment. Yeah, systems engineering, fine. OSI model, IDE, This is where I was. This is what I've shown you. Payload is just the data that you want to say. It's the analog of body in your HTML document, HTTP response actually, not your HTML document. Yeah. So yeah, this is what you're looking at, and you don't have to, I mean, go into the details, but you should be able to work your way through such diagrams if that is not something, it's not asking too much of you. So this is the page I was on, and this is where I copied that try relative path from, for example, try 42 I might have copied, right? So class, this is CSS, this is a list element, this is a HTML tag. I copied the Tempest, yeah, TEB7, right? So relative path. As you can see, there was a JS file at the end, near the end. Xilinx, yeah, Xilinx is a good example I came up with. So I was saying that you should be able to work at this level. These shapes, they mean something. These different blocks, they do mean something. And this is from electronics. But the point I'm trying to make is that you should be able to work with such diagrams if in order to understand, in order to come up with a website like this that we're talking about. This is the diagram I was looking at when I said that this is way too abstract. Okay, so again, it's a matter of what you need out of it. So yeah, so you can come up with your own symbols and make your own diagrams. In fact, you do have to come up with your own symbols and diagrams if you want to come up with a system that is secure. For example, you will have your codes and you will not let your dictionary be made public. That is the idea. Mac spoofing I've already mentioned. Website with great UX UI 2025. If you're interested, you can look it up. Lots of resources you can go through, and they're just aggregations of lists, and top 50 websites is the one that I've mentioned. It doesn't matter. You can go through any of them. Maybe there are even better examples. So coming back to, yeah, let's go through these things. Mac spoofing, okay. Hypertext transfer protocol. What you must have noticed by now is that it is a very wide range of things we are looking at. So you don't need to go into the depth of every single thing that you have to study. An example is from another video that I made. It's from years ago, or 2 years ago. I don't remember exactly. I can point you to the video, but it's about UGCnet. So two types of engineer: one that knows a lot about a lot of things, that knows everything about one single thing. So that is the idea. But you're looking at this first type of engineer where you have someone who has to know, who must of necessity know a lot about a lot of things. That is the idea. IAGO, purposeless malignity, that is recall, incidental recall, your save search setting, save search, some search query, that is the random search. Yeah, so sorry about this, but FTP and security vulnerabilities, that's what I searched, and this is the page. So the point I'm trying to make is that you want to come up with your own questions, ideas, and you want to post them here in the search bar, not a particular platform, because it has to do with intellectual property among other things, and it's a good idea to avoid posting things you might want to use as your own intellectual property, let's say. Figma is used to work with UX UI, so block diagrams, this kind of thing. This is the diagram I had when I mentioned this, and I said that you could use NetworkX, which is the package behind, which is a dependency for GraphViz. XML, you should be able to work with XML and RDF. start with XML. If you have to choose one of the two, go for XML because you'll need it more than you'll need RDF. RDF is much more serious stuff, but you come across XML much more than RDF. It's much more frequent. Security analogy of a building. NetworkX, you install it using pip package manager. We'll discuss these things as we go along. Entity relationship diagram, that's something you have to design when you have to come up with a database, and database are big things. You can have a simple entity relationship diagram with 4 or 5 boxes and be done with it, but when they do talk about these things, they talk about IMDb database, ERD available for free, available for you to use publicly. Yes, I think this is the yes, this no, not this one, but yes, they start with this, and you will find this in um, use when you're starting out on some. It doesn't matter. You can find all sorts of databases and all sorts of um, domains and from all sorts of resources available on the internet. You don't have to depend on someone for this kind of thing. Just search. I mean, only yesterday I came across data.world. So I was searching for something else. I came across data.world. Stateful protocol, stateless protocol. Building key areas to secure. This is what I searched. This was the building, the data center, and I mentioned data.world. Let's look it up. Yeah, so as you can see, that's nice graphics, right? If you're interested in this kind of thing, you would want to go for front end, and you want to spend time learning CSS and things like that. And CSS is in itself a very big topic. So animations and this is, as you can see, subscription based and enterprise level stuff. You can see companies listed here, right? So we are looking at a very different thing from what we will be doing, and we'll certainly not be doing enterprise level stuff. Now, this is the diagram I had, systems engineering, and you can see different types of system. The idea is that you should be able to think about things in terms of block diagrams, and this is what I said on Instagram yesterday, by the way. OSI transport layer. So some of these layers will be where you'll be working more than others, and generally when you're working in a particular area, you don't know anything about any other area. That is something which is part and parcel of the whole process. This one is the image that I pasted there while talking about encoding in video 3, right? Coming back to, yeah, Stack Overflow. You don't want to spend time on particular forums. Instead, you want to be asking very particular questions. The questions can be about errors such as type error, maybe, or it can be resources. I cannot find this particular resource, BSDDB3. This is what I mentioned. One of the things I mentioned, this is something that you'll come across, and it can be time consuming. Yes, it certainly is time consuming. Yeah, so that is just one example. This is okay. This is something that you don't want to go into the internals of. It's nice to do that, but you won't have time. So just have so much about it that you can work with it. That's all. So what is it? Why is it used? How to use it? That's all. That's all you'll need. And as you can see, it is from very different contexts. So how do I install it? Different software packages and so many different contexts that you don't want to go through the list of things it can be part of. That will be suboptimal use of your time and other resources. So just go for the one question or the set of questions that solve your problems, solve your errors. Easy install BSD DB3, can't find a local Barclay DB installation. So easy install is the equivalent of pip, Python installer package manager. Okay, so see, this is about databases, right? So you don't want to spend time on Stack Overflow just browsing through questions. You can do that, of course, but I suppose you will have time for better things. Okay, so my email address is exposed. Great. So for this one, I would like to conclude it here. This is an interim video that summarizes what I've said, among many other things. And I'd like you to go through everything in these 4 videos and then continue. Take a break and take time to explore things I've talked about. This is it. That's it for this one. See you in the next one. Bye.